Okay, you should have already completed your bell ringer and turned that in, and completed your symbiosis review and turned that in. Okay, now we're going to start the biomes. A biome is defined by the type of climate in a certain area as well as the different types of organisms. So that's what you need to be writing for your notes. There are some biomes that you already know by name, or you should know by name, already from like 5th grade, I would say, like deserts and grasslands. Those should be familiar to you. Deserts are the biome that receive the least amount of rainfall, so that's your answer on your notes. Deserts are very dry or arid, so arid equals dry, like the deodorant member. They are also usually very hot places, and the temperatures will reach well above 100 degrees Celsius. Well above 100 degrees. Desert plants that live in the desert tend to have roots that are very deep or very wide. And I've told you that before, and I've showed you pictures that they're either like wide like this or they're long like that. That's so that they can tap in the water or absorb as much water as possible whenever it rains. And the little picture on your notes to the left, you're going to draw like a picture to remind you what a desert biome is. So you can draw like a little cactus and some stones. Just draw something to remind you of what a biome is for desert. Desert plants also tend to have very small leaves, and they would be at risk for losing large amounts of water through the process of transpiration. Remember, transpiration is plant sweat. So in deserts, they usually keep their stomata closed, and it's kind of hard to see this right here. So I'm going to go ahead and type it out for you. They keep their stomata closed. Okay, there you go. Keep their stomata closed. And that's so that the water will not evaporate out of those tiny holes in the leaves. Desert plants also have very thick cuticles, so they're going to have prevent water loss by having very thick cuticles. That's why when you feel a cactus, it's very waxy feeling. Desert animals are typically like reptiles and have scales that will prevent water loss. And they also will have adaptations that will help them maintain water, like having solid urea and instead of aqueous urea. So it means that their urine is actually solid and not liquid. Next is the grasslands. They're named this because the names obviously imply that they're full of grass. They do not have a large amount of trees. They're still considered, they get plenty of rainfall, but not abundant amount of rainfall. Grasslands have very long roots, which allow them to absorb the maximum amount of water possible. Grasses also grow very rapidly. So those are those adaptations. They can absorb large amounts of water, and they grow very rapidly. Grassland animals typically will migrate large distances to get to water, and they will feed on the grasses along the way. So coyotes, deer, Texas is considered a grassland. Most of these grassland animals will have bacteria in their intestines, and you should be able to identify that they need that in order to help them digest plant cellulose, digest the plant material. Grassland animals also have very few places to hide, so most animals are very, very fast. Like the cheetah. Obviously, you know that that's very, very fast. It's in Africa. It allows them to catch their prey. But it also allows the prey to get away from the predator. So it does go both ways because gazelles are also very fast. The next one on your sheet is the seasonal forest, which basically is the reason it's called seasonal because it has winter and summer months. It actually snows during Christmas time, and it's going to be hot during the summer, and it's going to have distinct temperature changes. Seasonal forests will have a forest canopy, which is a layer of leaves and branches at the top of the forest. Those are going to absorb large amounts of sunlight because obviously they're blocking sunlight from the bottom. So little sunlight reaches the bottom of the forest that they receive very little solar energy. So think about photosynthesis. It's kind of hard to do photosynthesis if you're not getting any light. So plants on the bottom of the forest often have very large leaves, so they can absorb the maximum amount of sunlight that will creep through the canopy. Forest animals are going to be ones that can hibernate and store food, like squirrels and bears, and they will also migrate to warmer temperatures like birds who travel from the warmer places to the colder places. Rainforest is a type of forest that receives a great amount of rainfall and sunlight. This is the greatest amount of rainfall is in a rainforest, and the greatest amount of sunlight. So it's kind of weird that it has both. Rainforests are found along the Earth's equator, which means that they stay warm all year long. Right here is supposed to be warm. Sorry, can't really see it. Let's drag that over. Here we go. Warm all year long. Rainforests have a large amount of water and sunlight that is perfect growing conditions for plants, and have a broad range of plants because of vast resources available. So this is why they have a lot of plants, is because they have vast amount of water and sunlight. Rainforest animals are very diverse along with the plants. They have the greatest diversity of any biome. So they have snakes, they have lizards, they have frogs, they have birds, they have some more lizards. It's kind of crazy. Be careful when you go down. Arctic tundra are the coldest biome on the face of the earth. Very little rainfall, and the soil remains permanently frozen. So gross. Who likes the cold? So Arctic tundra, very little rainfall, permanently frozen soil. The tundra limits the variety of diversity. Obviously, not very many things can handle that much cold. And so animals living there have had adaptations to severe cold. The growing season is very, very short, so plants will grow very quickly and reproduce quickly. The frozen ground and lack of rain makes this a really hard place for plants to grow. Reptiles flourish in the desert, but they are very poorly adapted to the tundra. You will not see hardly any reptiles at all in the tundra. You're going to see mainly mammals and birds, which use their hair and feathers for insulation to fold. One of the main factors in classifying biomes is the amount of water available to the organisms. This is not a factor in aquatic biomes, obviously. There are two major types of aquatic biomes, which is freshwater and marine. Marine biomes are salt water, like oceans and seas, and freshwater is the ones without salt. Plants live in the ocean, live fairly close to the surface to get enough light, and some plants have actually adapted to this environment by gaining the ability to float on top of the water. So that's supposed to be float. Okay, think about a lily pad. Like in this picture, there's a lily pad floating on top of the water. They perform photosynthesis, they lack a whole lot of roots, and they have a thick cuticle with stomata just like regular plants. Other plants like Alodia, sorry, you can't really see that it's spelled, Alodia, have tiny sacs underneath each of their leaves to help them float. And they can still perform photosynthesis in all their leaves, and they are able to absorb the max amount of sunlight if they stay upright. And it can be extremely cold in the ocean. Many mammals, like whales and walruses, are known to have blubber, which helps to insulate their body and prevent heat loss. So you've heard of whale blubber before. If you haven't, now you have. It's their fat. And deep in the ocean, it can be very, very dark. And so then they also have adaptations to communicate and defend themselves in the depths of the ocean that create through bioluminescence. I believe I showed 3A, bioluminescence waters, which means that it just glows underneath water through life. So it attracts mates or helps to confuse a predator. If you've seen Finding Nemo, you know what I'm talking about. And that should be it for your notes. In those little boxes, make sure that you have pictures. I am going to grade that and turn that into the sub. Please stay on task for the rest of the day and behave yourselves. Thank you. Bye.